It's not easy, and you got to be ready for that. It's not, and we're in a society now where we get information immediately. You want to know something, you get up on your phone, you Google it. You can chat GPT, you can get it right here, right now. So you kind of get to skip through a lot of the hard work. But to get to the top of anything, you can't skip any of that. You can't skip a step. You have to be in, and you might, and like for me, you might skip a few steps and think that you're okay, I'm good, and something's going to happen, and you're going to have to go back and do it at some point. You're going to have to hit that grind, and um, you're going to have to also get accustomed to not accepting no. When people tell you or situations tell you that, you know what, maybe you're not good enough, or maybe you can't get there. That's garbage. You can. It's just, are you willing to do what it takes to get there?
Welcome to the EQ Gangster podcast, where you will learn practical tools to grow your mental and emotional health and intelligence to be the best version of yourself, both at work and at home. It is real, raw, and transformational. The journey of emotional growth isn't easy, but it's worth it. I believe in you. This episode is sponsored by Arrowhead Leadership Consulting. What are your organization's biggest pain points right now? Low EQ leaders, weak managers, toxic culture, high turnover, low engagement, leader development lagging behind company growth, no company career path. Let us know if your organization needs leadership coaching, workshops, training, or keynotes. Visit arrowhead-leadership.com for more details. Arrowhead-leadership.com. EQ Gangsters, I am so excited for this episode's guest. Uh, this guy, and a lot of my EQ Gangster folks know my background is military. And so I don't have a lot of horse experience. In fact, I don't even think I told you. I wrecked the first horse I ever rode. So, so I had, and it's a long story. I won't get into it, but anyway, I legit wrecked this horse. And so, and I was getting pranked that I didn't realize I was getting pranked. I was in another country at the time when I was in college, and they had given me a blind horse to test me out, right? And I'm like, dude, I told him, I said, look, I've never ridden before, and it was bareback, and it was a huge horse. Anyway, it was not a good experience for me. I felt so bad. So all that to say, for my audience, I am with literally like a Super Bowl level champion, like literally one of the top horse riders in the world. And I had an opportunity to spend some time with Matt at one of his clinics, for one of the neat programs that he does with another super family, Heather and Savannah Mize, that have this. It's called the Blue Thunder story. Phenomenal, amazing story. And Matt, just so grateful that again you're willing to dedicate your time. Could you just share what has been your journey? How did you get into horses, and how did you go from like did you anyway? Tell us your story of kind of how you got into horses.
Yeah, well, it's a crazy one. Hard to believe. But so I started off in Long Beach, California, and parents, working middle class, working, and I remember when I was real young, my mom saying she had horses as a kid and she couldn't have them. Life happens, and she couldn't have them anymore. Always had them recreationally. Well, I think I was about 8 or 9 years old. She introduced me to pony rides. Yeah, usually that's something kids go through a phase. They do it for a week or two or month, and then they start skipping, and then it ends. Well, for me, like right out of the gate, it was just like I was just ate up with it. Horses and basketball. I love basketball. Where I grew up, like that area in Long Beach at the time was putting out more professional athletes across the different sports than anywhere. So I had in my mind, I'm going to the NBA. Well, then I start with these this pony rides, and then it turned into weekly riding lessons. Now, Long Beach, don't get it twisted. Long Beach is not horse country. Um, I'm in the middle of the city, a bad part of the neighborhood, just not set up. There's one stable, it's called the Lakewood Equestrian Center, where I started these pony rides, and then, start with the lessons and get introduced with my childhood trainer, who I ended up being with for 10 years. But this is like 8, 9 years old. I'm doing weekly lessons, Noble, like, loving it. Though I go out there, the lesson's over way too fast. And I'm doing basic riding, just learn how to not fall off the horse, basically. And as oh, You still there? There you go. But you know, as I'm going along, I'm playing basketball, riding horses. Something just started triggering in me that I just was drawn to it. The whole thing, handling them, you know, the taking care of them, the riding, of course, and then later on, you know, they I kind of learned because I'm brand new. I don't know anything about this. My parents don't have a history in it. My dad's a truck driver. You know, he's from Louisiana. He's horses were used for work on the farm, so he kind of doesn't get it. Well, then they say there's competition, and they have a little competition there during, you know, within the lesson program where you pay your money, you go up and you compete. I do really well, and I was a competitive person from the word go. It was sports, and so now I've got these horses, and then you say I can compete too. I was just like the perfect storm. So now I'm begging my parents for a horse every year. You know, I mean, all year, every year. But my top of my Christmas list: horse, horse, horse. Don't get it, don't get it, don't get it. Well, I was about 12, and I finally got one. And all I did was ride, play basketball, and school. That was it. And when I went to school, nobody knew I rode horses because it wasn't like where I live now. I mean, I had the same, you know, I was with the jocks. I played music too, but I was with the jocks, and then I had all my horse stuff in my backpack. So I'd jump on the city bus and take it out to the stable. Then I'd go out and ride, and I'm riding like 2 days a week. Is what my mom would pay for. And Saturday, I'm there all day, just hanging out, just a gym rat, basically, just absorbing stuff. And so, anyway, you know, this is going on and on and on for quite a few years. I'm competing, doing real well. And at the time, I didn't really, you know, you don't really get it. I had a horse that was great, but looking back on it, I had terrible horses. My first horse actually got banned off of the Los Alamitos racetrack because he was crazy. Um, and the horse had some health issues on top of it. So naturally, that's a great first horse for me. So that would normally be a way that'd be your story where the story ends. You know, the horse was crazy. Well, I didn't know any different. I loved it. This horse's name was Red, Seeing Red. Great name for this horse, right? So anyway, I'm competing on this horse and I'm doing good on him. Not winning every time, but I'm winning a lot on this horse. Well, I started seeing this sport called reining, and they're sliding and spinning. It was called stock horse back then. And with what we did, I had to wear these terrible outfits that looked real girly. You had to sit up all prim and proper, and you go super slow. And I still loved it because I loved horses, but I didn't even know there was something else out there. Then I see this other thing, and I'm like, wait a minute, this looks like more my style. There's speed involved. I could wear better stuff instead of wearing these tight little shirts that, you know. So a guy coincidentally moves. There's nobody in my area, by the way, that does this. And so I want to try a reining horse, Noble, and I have no way of doing it. My mom's not going to buy it. So I get in this, it was called, oh, what the heck was it called? There was this classified newspaper, horse newspaper out there in California. I go in the back and get in the classifieds and I find a horse for sale and go out with my mom. No intention of buying this horse. This guy named Jimmy Flores had it, but I just wanted to ride him and go out there and say, yeah, I'm interested in this horse and get to test drive this horse. So that's kind of the way you do it in the horse business. You want to test drive them like a car, you get a free ride. So I ride this horse. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is what I got to do. So I was just obsessed. Then fast forward, and a trainer from Oregon moves down to about 45 minutes away from me, Costa Mesa. And I'm blowing this guy up when I see he's going to move. I'm like 17. And this guy moves down to this Orange County Fairgrounds. I go to have my first lesson. He has no idea that I've got all this experience riding, but not with reining. It's a whole different thing. It's like Formula One of horses, is what reining is. And so I'm hooked. Now I'm driving down after school 45 minutes to take lessons. Um, then, you know, because I want to take more lessons, my mom's only going to let me do so much. I am going down there and working in exchange for more lessons.
Now, now,
In the
now,
meet,
now, Matt, I'm assuming you kicked basketball to the curb at this point. Like, are
I'm
you
still
all
playing
in?
basketball. I'm
Oh,
still
you're
playing
still.
basketball.
Oh,
I'm
so
not
this.
all in yet. I'm
Okay.
still. I got the two-way path. I'm thinking maybe I'm going to hit
Okay.
the NBA. I'm playing high school ball,
Okay.
but now I'm starting to see. But I'm spending way more time with the horses though, and I didn't realize it
Okay.
at the time. I'm getting all this professional training with the basketball. I'm playing basketball. If I'm not riding, I'm playing basketball. Playing street ball, organized at school. But now, I started out really well. Now I'm starting to level off a little bit because I'm not putting the time in to basketball. So I'm starting to see the writings on the wall that maybe I'm not going to the NBA because no colleges has called. Now, also at the same time, I'm teaching riding lessons, which this all kind of gets jumbled up. But like, I'm like 13, 14 years old, and I'm teaching adults how to ride. So I'm acquiring skills and I don't even realize it. I'm giving lessons, I'm giving 5 to 10 lessons per day after school, doing my homework on the way on the bus. I drop off. I will never forget this lady's business plan. She had this little mailbox where the people put their checks in. We had this little board. She charged $30 for a lesson, and I got seven. So I'd write down the date and the person's name, and I got $7, and I could give 1 to 4 people a lesson at a time for an hour. So I'm learning all this stuff. I'm learning how to teach people, and I'm teaching adults, and I'm just this kid. And so the people drive up and they look and they're like, but then I knew I was quickly, I knew what I was doing because I'd spent so much time. So I've got all this going on at the same time. I'm I'm trying to feed this fire to do reining horses. Because I just and by the way, 12, 13 years old, I've got it, you're a kid, you dream, so you don't, there's nothing like making sense of it. I had in my mind, I want to train horses but I'm gonna be in the NBA too. Um, so I knew early on I want to do something with horses for my whole life. Didn't know how. My dad thought I was crazy. He's like, son, there's no way you're not going to make any money doing this. Stick to school, be a lawyer, a doctor. Um, anyway, back to the reining horses. I start riding. These people say, okay, do you want to buy a horse? My mom's like, no, we don't have the money to do that. No, figure another way. So these guys go, you could lease this horse. This horse is kind of, he's kind of burned up. He has some talent. It's kind of fried, so to speak. It's kind of like a car with real high mileage, and it's a fixer-upper. So I jump in, and I'm riding this horse, and made the horse a lot better, doing some good. I qualified for the quarter horse youths world. And this is my senior year. Doing great on this horse, and I get the rug pulled out from underneath me. The horse did so good. The trainers actually they said, "Hey, look, you can buy this horse for $10,000, or we're going to sell it." And at the time, I'm not getting it. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So I asked my mom. She's like, "No, we can't do it." So they sold this horse. I qualified. I don't get to go to the youth world. I'm devastated. I'm mad. I'm like, I did all this work to fix this horse up, and now you sell it on me. So I'm down in the dumps, but I'm not quitting. About this time, everything happened fast, Nolan. So about this time, I'm supposed to be going to college. I've got everything set, all the credits, the GPA, all the good stuff you'd want. I know I'm not playing basketball anymore. I quit halfway through my senior year because it was conflicting with horses. So I let it go. Still love it to this day, but let it go. Well, I'm out there at this Orange County Fairgrounds, and there's other kids my age that I've been competing with, and I'm finding out what they're doing. Well, some of them want to be horse trainers, and they're like, the spot to go for reining is Scottsdale, Arizona. Never been to Scottsdale in my life. Got the Reining magazine, so I'm kind of looking through, and I see who the guys are, and I pick out two guys, Todd Bergen and John Slack. They were best of the best at the time. And so I don't know any better. They're out at an event at this facility I'm at, and this buddy of mine says, I'm going to go out there for the summer. And I thought, you know what? I want to do the same thing. Go out there and ride reining horses. My parents aren't buying them for me, so I got to figure out a way to get to it. And anyway, I go up to these guys. They don't know me or anything, and they give me the old, well, we'd love to have you, but we don't have a place for you to stay. And now that I've been in business as long as I have, they didn't know anything about me, and that was a nice way of saying no. So I hear that, and I got to thank an old friend of mine. name's Bud Lyon. His father, Chad, he was one that was right there. And when they told me no, he goes, "Hey, Matt, I know another guy named Dale Hendricks. Never heard of him. He's out there riding. Never heard of him, but he's in Arizona." He says, "I think this would be good for you." Well, I just trusted him just on faith. I went and I talked to him and I said, "Hey, Dale, I'd love to come for the summer." And he looks at me and he says, "Let me watch you ride a little." Sees me ride and he says, "All right, you can come out. I'm not going to pay you a dime, and you're going to live in my house, and you got to do whatever I say." And I didn't ask any more questions. I said, when can I get there?" And he says, "Whenever you can get there." So about a month later, this was mid-June, I graduate from high school, Millikan High School in Long Beach. The next day, my dad's driving me to Arizona, June in Arizona. So we're getting closer, and my dad's not really good with this. He's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm going." And it's supposed to be just for the summer though. Then I'm coming back to college. We hit triple digits and he looks over, we pull into the facility and it's incredible. And he looks over at me, he's like, "Hey, you know, I don't know if you've stepped outside yet, but I'm pretty sure this is hell on earth." Because it was so hot, so hot. So I jump out of the truck, walk in, so hot. They got misters in the barn. I haven't seen any of this. I'm from Long Beach. We didn't have an air conditioner in the house. We had a heater we never used. But I walk in and it was like a dream. I mean, I'm looking around at all of these incredible horses. The barn's immaculate. I felt like I'm walking into like this palace. And so I'm just amazed. The very next day, um, my boss Dell, he's like, "Hey, this is '97, by the way, 1997." He says, "Hey, can you drive a truck?" And I said, "Yeah, I can drive a truck. Absolutely." He goes, "Okay, good." He goes, "So you're going to come with me. We're going to a competition in Oklahoma City tomorrow. It might even been that night." And I'm like, "Okay." I'm in I've been taught to, do what you say, or do what you're told. And so I'm like, "Sure, let's do it." One of the major events. We get in this truck, and I realize real quick it's a stick shift dually. I've never driven a stick shift. I'm from Long Beach. I can get on a city bus, school bus, I can drive, cars around, but I wasn't a car guy. So I had no idea, never even driven a tractor. So I'm sitting in there in the back seat, and his dad's with him, and it gets to be about my turn. And that's when I had to own up. And he goes, "Okay, you ready to drive?" And I said, "Well, sir, I'm absolutely ready to drive, but I've never driven a stick shift." Man, the look he gave me. I said, I'm so sorry. I didn't know it was a stick shift." And he just kind of looked at me and was going to get mad for a second, but I'm 18, brand new. And he just kind of smiled. And I didn't have to drive. Him and his dad did it. But now I'll tell you, at the show, at the first competition, his dad taught me how to drive a stick. So I did drive on the way back. Well, everything just falls into place. So I get there. I don't know this guy at all. I don't know his family. I don't know anything. They could be crazy. I mean, I don't know anything. I'm just trusting this guy, Chad. Um, I get there and he wins this event, this major event. And it was incredible. And then it just set off the next few years. I ended up staying almost 5 years with him. This guy went on a tear. He was beating those guys that I originally wanted to go with. He's whipping them, whipping their butts. I mean, mopping them up. And now I'm right in the middle of it. And I don't have any experience with reining. I have about 6 months worth, but I'm very, very hungry. Always have been. And I'm competitive. So on depth chart wise, there's a couple assistants there ahead of me. So I'm third guy in the totem pole. I get back, I'm pumped. He just won this event. I'm thinking I'm going to start riding. I didn't ride for probably the first 30 days. Um, I did all the grunt work. I'm saddling horses, getting them ready for him. I might bring him out and, I think I'm going to get on. Nope. Go out fixing fences, doing stuff I've never done before, but I'm out and it's hot. I'm out there fixing fences. I'm sweeping the tack room and I'm just waiting for my chance because I'm not real, I'm waiting. I'm like ready, ready, ready. And I'm getting right to the point where I'm like, I've had about enough of this. And then I have to live with him on top of it. Then he lets me start riding, and then that's like, you know what, I'm gonna let that do the talking. And real quick, like under a year, I'm went from the bottom guy to the top guy, and making no money. Like so after a few weeks, right, I'm supposed to go back home, and he goes, "Hey, you know what? I'd like to offer you a position." Actually, it was a few months. I want to pay you $1,000 to work for a month, and you find your own place to live. And if you can do that, I'll hire you. So, I call my mom. She's a numbers person. I am too. She starts doing the math, and we start looking at what it costs for an apartment. And she's like, "Son, I got bad news for you. Um, you're going to be losing money every month. You can't do it for this." It came out to like 1,100 or something. So I'm like, "Oh man." So I crawled back to him and I said, "Listen, sir, I laid it all out. I can't make this work. Can you give me 1,200?" And he goes, "All right." He smiled. He's like, "Okay, I'll give you 1,200." So I'm working for 1,200. I got to pay for my own car, insurance, my apartment, everything. And I was happy as could be because I'm learning from one of the best guys at the time. It's like my college education, basically. So the next almost 5 years, I'm working for him and I'm learning everything, ins and outs of the business, lots of fun times, lots of wild times, and a lot of hard work. But I quickly am starting to see, you know what, I'm pretty good at this. And anyway, he ends up having to move to Texas. And about that time, I met my wife, Karen. We're dating and stuff. And if it wasn't for her, I probably would have gone to Texas for sure. Because I'm starting to do really well now in competition. I'm a top level assistant, getting a lot of momentum. And he's like, "Okay, Matt, I got to move to Texas. You ready to go?" And I was like, "Ooh, uh, can't do it. I got to stay." So, he was mad. He's like, "I spent all this time work, investing into you, and you're just now worth a darn, and now you're not coming with me." And then he understood at the end. So that's about '01. I start my own business in Scottsdale, and there's I was there for, well, I was in Arizona total about 25 years, but start my business in '01. Again, it was like you see these ups and downs. I'm on top of the world at the best, one of the best facilities to bam, now it's real life. I got to figure out where am I going to get business, and I don't have any. So I'm trying to figure out, what am I going to do? I don't have any of these good horses to ride, and with what we do, if you don't have a good horse, you can't do any good in a competition. It's like Formula One driver that's got a Volkswagen. I don't care if it's Lewis Hamilton or Max Verstappen. And I mean, you see it in Formula One today. If you don't have a car that's as good as everybody else's, good luck. I mean, you might get lucky if everybody else gets a flat. So not only do I not have a horse that's competitive, I don't have enough horses to really pay for my way. And so I've got this new girlfriend, um, and I've got basically no work. So
And
in the
you're
meantime,
and you're how old at this time? Oh, one. You start your business. How old are you?
I'm 22,
Wow. And so you're
22.
and so your business is like, okay, you're going to be training horses. That's what you want to, that's what your business is.
Training horses with the idea of competing, not just straight up like just a guy that's just training horses for backyard people. I'm like wanting to do it at a high level, which I've been doing, build a career and show at all these major events. So you got to have a certain type of horse to do that because it's like I told you, it's a very specialized sport.
You want to
Uh,
eventually be essentially you want to roll like Dale, right? Is that the guy's name, Dale?
Dale Hendricks, yeah,
So
exactly.
that was your vision. You got trained up by LeBron James essentially of Reining
Exactly.
at the time, and so you got that vision. It's like, okay, that's what I want to be when I grow up. So 22, you go off on your own.
22. Now I got my own team, and I'm thinking this is going to be easy because working for him, I didn't make any money, but I had everything there, the facilities, carte blanche on taking care of the horses. Didn't have to think about anything. It was all done. Now it's all on me. And I'm thinking, yeah, when I put my advertisement out in the magazine, all these horses are going to show up. Typically you're going to have around 30. I think I started out with five. and not a one of them was a reining horse. And I had to do it to pay the bills. So I'm going like, what do you have to do? And everybody's like, well, you just got to put your head down and keep working and keep working. And um, I'm always I've always been a grinder. I still am. So I figure out a way. My mom helped me out, um, get a hold of a decent horse, and just to get a foothold. And so I start competing. Then I start taking some of these horses that are not competitive, and it's like working your way up like the farm system, like think about like double A, triple A, and stuff. So I was at the majors. I just start my own business at 22, and I'm all the way back down to like bush league. And so I got to crawl my way back up, like a boxer, club boxer and stuff. So I'm taking these horses and I'm just working my butt off and pulling stuff off, doing better than I should be. Then you start stacking. Now, in the meantime, I'm thinking, if this doesn't work, what am I going to do? They say you shouldn't have a plan B, but I had a plan B and it still worked out. I thought, you know what? I'm not sure where this came from, but I thought I could be a firefighter. And I think the only reason why is I was thinking 3 days on, 3 days off, I could still, stoke the flame, get my business going. So I go through the process. Took some classes at Paradise Valley Community College, did my EMT certification, went through the whole hiring process, passed the physical. I'm all the way at the interview side of it now, where I'm at the edge of the diving board, and I'm either going to do it or I'm not. About that time, phone rings. Somebody says they're going to send me 8 horses, good horses. And I'm like, man, here we go. So firefighter went out the window and jumped right in, and away we go. Well, and it's funny, you look back on it at the time, you're thinking this is going to be easy. Everything's going to come fast. Well, you fast forward, I get some opportunities that things just kind of fall into place where I get my hands on a top level horse, and this is like '05. Now I've been grinding. I've got this breakthrough horse. I go and start winning, doing really well at some of these majors. Well, they had international competition now. Reining's an Olympic sport. So it's not in the Olympics yet, but it's one level, I wouldn't even say below, parallel. It's called the World Equestrian Games, which in the equine world, it's at the same level of the Olympics. It's every 4 years. Well, '06 rolls around, and it's a qualifying year. And, I'm a competitive, and I'm like, you know what? So '06, I'm 27. I thought, you know what? I'm going to drive to Lexington, Kentucky with this one horse, and I'm going to compete against Dale Hendricks, all the best and the best, and they only take 4 people for Team USA. So I load up, I go out there, and I did everything wrong in preparation. Like you should be taking all this time to prepare and doing this, that, and the other, and I was doing none of that. I was like, you know what? I'm so good, it's going to be fine. So we get out there, Noble, and lo and behold, I win this thing. I win the qualifier, Kentucky, my all-time high score. I wear that. That's I wear that score right here. I got this little pendant, and it's got that horse's score on the back. Horse's name is Easioti Wiz, with this 231.5. So I win this thing. I'm like, man, this
So
is amazing.
Matt, so you beat the LeBron James that taught you
Yeah,
how to play basketball, that taught you how to ride. I mean,
beat
not
him,
ride, but reign, and you beat him.
beat the brakes off him that day. But now he ended up being 4, so he was on the team with me. But I beat them all on that day, and at the time you don't really thinking of it that way, because you're in the moment. I'm thinking that's the way it should be. But yeah, I mean, looking back on it, in a short amount of time, I'm now the captain of this Team USA. And so next thing is we're going to Aachen, Germany in September of that year. Now I have not been. I've been to Mexico a couple times, but I've never been abroad. Next thing you know, we're flying this horse and my teammates over to Germany. We get over there and take care of business. We win the gold medal for Team USA, and I'm there, and I mean, it was nuts because in Europe, horses and football or soccer they call it, those are the main things. So we're like rock stars over there. I mean, in the opening ceremony, there's 50,000 people. Our competitions, I think it was like 8,000 standing room only, and we're having medal ceremonies and throwing cowboy hats out to people in the city there in Aachen. It was incredible. Uh, and Karen, my wife, we're married now, and she's got Ryan, our son. She's pregnant with him, so she's over there. Anyway, I come back, and that was the shot in the arm there, and just been rolling ever since. And the connections you start to make. It's still a grind though with the horses and stuff. But anyway, getting to where I'm at now, about 3.5, 4 years ago, opportunity came up through a friend of mine, Taylor Sheridan, that's wrote Yellowstone and Last Cowboy that rally show I've been on. I've been friends with him years ago before he ever started riding. Well, he's getting rolling, doing great, and he loves reining horses. And we've always just talk at the shows, talk about horses left and right. We just hit it off. Well, he's like, I got a ranch in Texas, and boy, it'd be great for you to come out here. Just the way things were going, timing wise, everything lined up to do it. So we moved to Texas a little about 3.5 years ago, and been here ever since. So I've been. I know that was a real long story. There's a lot more to it than that, but I've been progressively moving east. So I'm thinking when my career's over, I might end up in Florida, the way it's been going. But I can tell you, I never in a million years would have told you that I'd live in Texas. I'm in the middle of horse country now. Not in a million years. I'd always say, you know what? I love to watch Texas from my car because the weather's so up and down. And now I'm here, and it's been fantastic. I had a chance to be on some reality TV shows. Been on that big show Yellowstone, and it's just been incredible. Where this journey has taken me.
That is incredible, man. That is so awesome. So, dude, so you have been, I mean, so you have literally been world class since you were 27 years old.
Yeah,
Dude, so okay, and so part of that sounds crazy, right? That because I mean that's no joke to be 27 world class, but at that
really,
time,
really, really. I'm honest. I mean, really before that, I had a little gap where I went off the radar when I started my own business. But when I was an assistant, so when I was like 21, 22, I was right there at those big events. Uh, Super competitive, right there. If I'm not first, I'm second. So for quite
oh
some time.
wow, okay, so but even okay, so let's so 20 so a so even at that time at 2021 22 you started at 8 so you've got a decade plus at 21 22 of
Right.
and maybe at that point you heard the 10,000 hour rule, right? You've got thousands of
Yeah.
hours
Oh yeah.
probably,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Right at
More
that
women.
point already doing that. So man, so I've got so many questions. What? Okay, okay, so there are a lot of people, and again with the audience, right? Whether they're your thing is horses or it's basketball or it's leadership or it's
Right.
whatever, right? What what why Matt? Like what? Okay, I heard a lot of things, right? I heard I was you're competitive, which is huge. You're a hustler. You're a grinder. So a lot of qualities there from your grid, Matt. What makes why you like how did you why you dude how have you been world class for so long? What's the secret sauce of Matt Mills?
Well, I can tell you it starts with passion. I absolutely love horses, everything about them. And I'm competitive, but I love horses. I would do this for free. I've done it for free. If if you've handed me $100 million today, I would still ride horses. And so for me, I mean, and for sure, there's times where it's not fun, where it's crappy, and you're like, why am I doing this? But then that's what keeps you going, is that passion that it's not a 9 to 5 for me. It's a complete lifestyle. There's so much, like for me with the horses, that does for me. I get out of it as much as I get from it. Or I guess that doesn't make like the horse. I get more as much from the horses. For me personally, forget about trophies and all that stuff. Um, what it does for me as far as balance in my life and stuff, and like keeping me mentally where I need to be. It's you know, and that's what I think people need to find. Kids got to find, if they can, if they're fortunate, bless them. And that's what I started to see. I thought everybody would find something that they love and that's what they would do. And I see that's not the case. Um, and I think that's the first thing you got to have, because if you're not passionate about it, there's no way you're going to work crazy hours. If I told you the hours that I work, you'd be like, you're nuts. If you did my hourly, I mean, knock on wood, we've been blessed. I'm, doing just fine. But if you calculated my hours, you'd be like, why are you doing this? And it's not all just for the money. It's because I truly love it. And I think that's what you got to have first. You got to find something, and you can change. I think that's okay. If you don't know, you got to try a lot of different things, which I did as a kid. I tried a lot of different things, but the horses was always the one thing that I always come back to. And even to this day, I mean, I'm the worst person to go on vacation. I'll go, I can get through a few days, but then I'm probably looking at something horse related. And then I can't wait to get back because I know I'm going to be behind. And, that's just, I think to me, that's, if you have that, um, how much money you make doesn't matter. I mean, there's ceilings to every, any vertical you want to get into. I mean, if I picked something, different with a higher ceiling. If I get to the top of it, I'm going to make more money. But really, after you live life for a while, you better be enjoying that journey along the way, because you're going to spend more time grinding than you are, you know, standing on the podium putting a gold medal around your neck, or being the executive of the year, or whatever it is that you're doing. You're going to spend more time down in the trenches working. And so you really need to find something that you love. So, because otherwise, think about all the hours that you spend, to have fun on the weekend. I don't know how many people I got to work. I can't wait for Friday. I can't wait for Monday, um, because I can't wait to get back to it, because I love it. I mean, I work weekends regularly, and anybody that does this, that has the passion for horses, and I think I see it with all the people I've come across. They have the same. You're the same way. I mean, I saw that down there at our youth summit that we went to. You're wired up the exact same way. You're not looking at a clock. You're just not wired up like that.
That's amazing. Love that. Okay, so what? Okay, another thing, man. Just like a God thing. For me, that it's like, what were the chances that a Matt Mills gets coached by LeBron James, right? That is like that is like you know I call it God math. Like when it's like, there's, dude, what were you know what I mean? Like all the things that had to happen in your life for Matt Mills to get coached by, at the time, one of the top,
Yeah.
right, Rainers in the planet. Like that is some. So here's a question for you.
Mhm.
Do you think you would have been able, or do you think you would still have made it to the top if you had ended up with some rando horse trainer?
That's a great question. I mean, the competitor in me would say, yeah, I'd have figured out a way. The path would have been different for sure. But no, I mean, the stars, everything was set up perfect for me to excel, to succeed. And yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, if you look at where I'm from, I didn't grow up with a horse family. I didn't grow up in a horse area. I had to seek it out. So I mean, that was a plan. That somebody had a plan for me. And then you look at just my world that I ride in. There's not many people like me. Matter of fact, maybe there isn't any. Maybe a two or three that are in this world that I'm in. So none of it makes any sense. Like, where? where did how did this happen? And at the time, I'm not thinking about it. I'm just doing. I'm just going day by day, just working. But looking back on it, you go, well, wait a minute. Um, like you're saying, how did I end up in Texas training horses? How did I end up one day on the Four Sixes Ranch, doing a branding, gathering cattle? I mean, I'm trotting around this 8,000-acre pasture. It's dark, and I did have to think about it for a second. The sun's coming up, and it was actually that was one of the best moments on a horse, which I told that to a friend, a buddy of mine, Taylor Sheridan. I said, thank you. I said, I want gold medal, all this. I said, it's right there with it because it was like just told the whole story. I'm like, what am I doing? I mean, I had I was a kid, at school. As soon as I get out of the house, I'm, sagging my pants a little bit. Like that's what we were doing back in the day. And, I got my starter jacket on and, got the best Nikes my mom would let me get. And now, I've got the alligator boots and I'm trotting across this ranch. So yeah, it's something else, learning stuff all the time.
Oh, okay. Oh man, you just nailed a huge point. All right, let me, but I don't want to jump into that yet. Well, I mean, it may be the okay. Let me just ask it because I don't want to lead you. Okay, so getting to the top took a certain set of skills. Staying at the top requires a certain set of skills. How how are those skills, traits, or qualities different from each other?
Yeah, that's a good question. For me, I guess I don't ever really feel like I'm at the top yet. I always feel like I'm still got room to get better. Still room for improvement. Yeah, I did that. Well, I could have done it faster. I could have got there sooner. But the big thing to answer your question is, and for sure though, you step back, you hit a certain level where you're up there in the top. You can't get complacent, because it's so easy to do and to relax and just kind of, go, you know what, okay, I'm here, it's all good. And that's the one thing about like with what we do with horses, that's a whole nother variable you can't control. So it's a great equalizer and it's a great humbler. And they always have a saying, you're only as good as your last show, your last competition. And that's true. It doesn't matter what you did today, or it doesn't matter what you did yesterday, I should say. The next event's a whole nother animal, no pun intended. But you have to stay sharp or you get passed by. Like, and we see this sometimes with professionals. And actually, I guess that's the one thing you got to stay open minded and you've got to stay curious to is there a better way? Because everything's evolving. Our horse, our breed, everything in our world, our society is evolving. Our horse breeding's evolving. The pedigrees, the horses are more instinctive to do what we do. So me as a trainer, personally, I've got to be changing. And we've seen some guys that dominate for a short period of time or maybe a long period of time and you get kind of hard headed. You're like, my way is the only way. This is the only way to do things. And by God, this is it. And you see as things change, styles change, you see those guys drop off because they're too hard headed to probably ask for help. That's one thing. You've got to stay humble and you've got to be, and there's people, I don't care who they are, those, even the other guys and women, we've got women now that are doing really well. They all get help. They might not tell you that they're getting help, but they're getting help. They're looking to sharpen themselves, try to get better. And that's one of the keys to staying relevant and staying competitive is you've got to always be pushing yourself, being self-aware, going, hey, I could do this better. I could get this across to my horse better. It might be the care, it might be on the business side, it might be something you're not thinking of. I can run my business better. I can communicate with my clients, with the owners of the horses better, which in return trickles down and improves everything, improves your whole program.
Got it. It's that it makes me think of, and not to wear out LeBron James, but he's he's a great example, right? The LeBron Jameses,
Mm.
the Tom Brady's, right? That,
Hmm.
they didn't just, they haven't been at the top for like one or two. I mean, they were at the, years at the highest levels. But I mean, I remember reading articles and stuff on both of them. They both spent $1 million a year just on taking care of themselves, right? Just on, because that, and then an old UFC. I do Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and Ronda Rousey, she was the lady that really kind of,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
right. And so she said, she was getting interviewed in one of the interviews, and they're like, "Hey, well, how do you do it taking care of your body?" And she's like, "My body is my business." And I thought,
Hmm.
wow, like that's a great way to, like, look, you gotta, if you want to play at this top level, you're, at your level, right? You're making, you know, micro adjustments, right?
Hmm.
You're doing eighths of an inch, hundredths of an inch, things at the mastery level. So, for you to stay, and I love that, how do you combat complacency is with curiosity. It's like you're staying hungry, you're staying humble, and and again, being able to ask for help. Man, that is so huge, Matt. Um, any final thoughts or encouragement that you'd like to share for somebody, again, whether it's horses or anything else, that they want to be at the top, play at the top level? What would you encourage them with?
Well, I mean, it's not easy, and you got to be ready for that. It's not, and we're in a society now where we get information immediately. You want to know something, you get up on your phone, you Google it. You can chat GPT, you can get it right here, right now. So you kind of get to skip through a lot of the hard work. But to get to the top of anything, you can't skip any of that. You can't skip a step. You have to be in, and you might, and like for me, you might skip a few steps and think that you're okay. I'm good, and something's going to happen, and you're going to have to go back and do it at some point. You're going to have to hit that grind, and um, you're going to have to also get accustomed to not accepting no. When people tell you or situations tell you that, what, maybe you're not good enough or maybe you can't get there. That's garbage. You can. It's just, are you willing to do what it takes to get there? And I see it. I see it all the time. I see it in sports. I mean, you're a sports guy, so am I. I mean, there's a lot of guys. Look at Brady, for instance. I mean, he wasn't the most naturally gifted guy. I mean, he was Mr. Irrelevant, drafted last. But you look at him and you go, this is not going to be the greatest quarterback of all time. And you look at, he had the chip on his shoulder. He worked hard. He did whatever it took for him, getting outside the box, working on his body. I mean, he sacrificed money at times to make sure he had a good O line, good receivers. He did what it took, and that's what it takes. You've got to be willing to do whatever it takes, and sometimes it requires patience. Which for me, early on, that's something that I really lacked. And anybody that's competitive, you're not going to be super patient. And it's easier. It's very, very easy to say. And when you're in the moment, you're like, not for me. I'm not going to be patient. But you'll learn because my experience is you're going to spend the majority of your time failing. And you've got to learn to be okay with that. And you've got to learn, how can I change result? What can I do different to try to get a different result? Because, you look at baseball, for instance, these guys, if you are good 30% of the time at the plate, you're one of the greatest of all time. 70% of the time you're striking out, you're flying out or whatever. And it's the same thing. So you just have to be, you got to be so focused. And it doesn't mean you can't have balance and have some fun along the way, because I've had plenty of fun, lots of fun. Um, but you just have to have that no quit attitude. 'Cause I could tell you story after story of times, like that run that got me the ticket to Team USA. The day before, I had a practice run that went as bad as it could go. I mean, terrible, absolutely terrible. And I could have packed it in, and I no came back out. Didn't I had it happen time and time again. Some of my best successes have come right after my biggest failures.
Man, that's amazing, Matt. Thank you so much for sharing. Okay, how do we find you? How do we follow you? Websites, resources, all that.
Yeah, so MattMillsRaining.com is my website. You can find me there. Any of those horse people in there, I've got a monthly training video page there where I've got over 200 videos that, helping you train your horse, helping you compete on your horse. That's at MattMillsRaining.com. It's called the Gold Medal Formula. But then also, if you just search Matt Mills Reining on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, I've got, we put all kinds of stuff up there. We've got, you can see what we're doing behind the scenes. Some of it's tips where I'm trying to help people, and and you can reach out, and I love to help others as much as I can. That's a great thing about social media. One of the good things, there's a lot of bad things about social media, but one of the good things is I can reach so many people, and so I can share and show, when things are good, when things aren't going good, what my mindset's been, what I do, and like I said, we did some fun stuff along the way. Keep up with the schedule, but yeah, I'd love for you guys to follow me, and if you're curious, go check out my website.
Awesome. And huge shout out to Heather and Savannah Mize and Blue Thunder, and their whole story is also incredible. Please Google that. They're on YouTube as well, and the relationship between Matt Mills and Savannah and Blue Thunder is such a powerful, beautiful story as well.
Oh no, well, that's a whole nother podcast in itself, because then we can start getting into God's plan, and why things happen, and how sometimes you got to learn hard lessons to be able to open your eyes. And that horse, Blue Thunder, and Savannah, and her parents, Darren and Sky, those are special people. Yeah, they're special people, and like I said, that's a whole nother podcast in itself.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, thank you, Sky, not Heather. That was another client. I'm sorry, Sky.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
Sky and Savannah.
She forgives
Amazing.
you. She forgives you.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So awesome, Matt. Again, cannot thank you enough for sharing your insights, spending time with us, man. You absolutely killed it, and really, I can't wait to go through it again and just learn and take the notes and stuff like that. But thank you for sharing your insights with the
Oh
audience.
yeah, my pleasure. I wish we had more time so I could ask you some questions.